Imagine standing at the edge of a serene lake at sunrise. The stillness of the water mirrors the sky, and the silence invites introspection. Life, much like this lake, becomes clouded when weighed down by unnecessary distractions, attachments, and illusions. Today, we embark on a journey inspired by Zen philosophy and Buddhist wisdom to uncover 10 things you should quietly eliminate from your life to rediscover peace, clarity, and freedom. In this video, we'll not only explore ancient teachings but weave them with modern reflections, personal insights, and relatable examples. The aim? To help you see your path toward transformation and embrace the beauty of simplicity. Let's begin. Part 1: The weight of unnecessary possessions. Material possessions often bind us to an illusory sense of security, creating a weight that limits our ability to experience life authentically. A Zen monk once expressed this profound truth by stating, "This wooden bowl is all I own, and yet it is enough." This simple declaration encapsulates a central tenet of Zen philosophy: fulfillment arises not from accumulation but from embracing simplicity. Possessions, while necessary to some extent, often entangle us in a web of attachment, convincing us that they define our identity or protect us from fear. Yet, as Buddhism reminds us, impermanence is the nature of all things. Clinging to material objects is ultimately futile because their existence, like ours, is transient. Consider the story of a wealthy merchant who, after losing his fortune, lamented his misfortune to a Zen master. The master, in response, directed his attention to the rising sun and posed a thought-provoking question: who owns this light? Yet, it is yours to enjoy every day. This anecdote reveals a fundamental truth: the most profound joys in life are often untethered to ownership. The warmth of the sun, the beauty of a blooming flower, and the serenity of a quiet morning are all gifts that require no possession, only presence. The pursuit of material wealth and objects can often lead to a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Once a need is fulfilled, another arises, perpetuating an endless loop that masks itself as progress but often leads to emotional exhaustion. By contrast, the act of letting go introduces a sense of liberation. This does not suggest renouncing all possessions, but instead encourages discerning between what is essential and what is excessive. A cluttered home can mirror a cluttered mind. Each unnecessary object represents unaddressed emotional weight or misplaced value. The act of decluttering serves as a powerful metaphor for this process. Imagine beginning with a single drawer, sorting through its contents, and asking whether each item genuinely serves a purpose or brings joy. This small act, while seemingly trivial, is transformative. By donating or discarding items that no longer serve us, we create space, physically and mentally, for simplicity, clarity, and contentment. The lightness that accompanies such acts is not merely symbolic, it manifests as a tangible reduction in mental noise and emotional burden. Additionally, the relationship between material possessions and identity warrants reflection. Society often equates ownership with status, success, and self-worth, encouraging individuals to define themselves by what they own rather than who they are. However, this perspective is inherently fragile, as external objects are subject to loss, damage, or change. When identity is tied to the impermanent, it becomes unstable, leading to anxiety and fear of loss. Embracing minimalism or intentional simplicity, on the other hand, allows one to shift focus inward, fostering a deeper understanding of self that is resilient and authentic. The Zen perspective on material possessions is not a condemnation of ownership, but an invitation to reframe our relationship with the things we own. It asks us to approach life with mindfulness, recognizing the difference between needs and wants and appreciating the abundance inherent in non-material experiences. When we release our grip on unnecessary possessions, we simultaneously loosen the mental and emotional constraints they impose. This act of letting go paves the way for a life of greater freedom, joy, and alignment with our true values. Ultimately, the wisdom of Zen and Buddhism teaches that happiness is not found in accumulating more, but in desiring less. By simplifying our lives and cultivating an appreciation for the intangible, the sunrise, a shared smile, or a moment of stillness, we rediscover the essence of what it means to live fully. Letting go of the weight of unnecessary possessions is not merely an act of decluttering, it is an act of reclaiming our peace and authenticity. Part 2. Toxic relationships. Toxic relationships, though often difficult to recognize and even harder to release, can be one of the most significant drains on our emotional, mental, and spiritual energy. As the Buddha wisely stated, "It is better to walk alone than with a fool." This teaching underscores the importance of discernment in our relationships, recognizing that while human connections are vital for support and growth, not all relationships contribute positively to our well-being. Learning to identify which relationships to nurture and which to let go is a profound act of self-preservation and self-respect. Relationships, at their best, are mutual sources of growth, encouragement, and understanding. However, when a relationship becomes toxic, characterized by manipulation, constant negativity, or emotional exploitation, it begins to erode rather than uplift. The burden of maintaining such relationships can lead to exhaustion, self-doubt, and a diminishing sense of self-worth. Toxic connections often stem from a place of dependency, guilt, or fear of being alone, which makes it challenging to take the necessary step of letting go. The story of a disciple seeking advice from his master about when to let go of a person offers a powerful metaphor for this process. The master hands the disciple an overflowing cup of tea and says, "When you are too full, you must pour some out." The act of pouring out symbolizes the release of what no longer serves us, whether it is material excess, emotional burdens, or relationships that have outlived their positive influence. Just as an overflowing cup cannot hold more tea, a person overwhelmed by toxic energy cannot fully embrace new opportunities, healthier relationships, or inner peace. Letting go of toxic relationships requires courage, introspection, and, often, a confrontation with uncomfortable emotions. It is not merely about severing ties, but about creating space for healing and rediscovering one's inner strength. When a relationship drains energy and brings more harm than support, its continuation becomes an act of self-neglect. By releasing it, we honor our own emotional and mental well-being, prioritizing our growth and happiness. From personal experience, the act of letting go of a draining friendship can feel like removing a thorn from one's side, relieving but not without discomfort. I once held on to a friendship that had become emotionally exhausting, stemming from a sense of loyalty and the fear of losing a long-term connection. However, when I finally stepped away, I felt a profound sense of relief and regained clarity about my own needs and boundaries. While the decision was difficult, the resulting peace and the ability to redirect my energy toward healthier connections made the effort worthwhile. Toxic relationships often serve as mirrors, reflecting aspects of ourselves that we might need to address. They can reveal patterns of overgiving, fear of conflict, or an unhealthy attachment to validation. By recognizing these dynamics, we not only free ourselves from harmful influences, but also grow in self-awareness and resilience. This process allows us to redefine what we value in relationships and establish boundaries that protect our well-being. Ultimately, choosing to release toxic relationships is not an act of rejection or judgment, but one of self-love and growth. It acknowledges that our energy, time, and emotional health are finite and deserve to be invested in connections that nurture and empower us. Walking away from toxic influences is not about isolation, but about making space for relationships that align with our values and aspirations. It is an opportunity to cultivate authenticity, balance, and mutual respect in our interactions. As we move forward, it is important to remember that walking alone, when necessary, can be an act of strength and wisdom. In solitude, we can find clarity, rediscover our intrinsic worth, and prepare ourselves to attract relationships that truly enrich our lives. This process of discernment and release ultimately leads to a more fulfilling and harmonious existence. Part 3: Unrealistic Expectations. Unrealistic expectations often arise from the belief that perfection is attainable, leading to frustration, self-doubt, and a constant sense of inadequacy. The story of a young woman seeking the secret to perfection highlights this truth. When the Zen master handed her a cracked pot and instructed her to fill it until it overflowed, she witnessed water seeping through the cracks. The master's explanation: perfection is an illusion. The cracks nourish the earth, is a profound reminder that flaws and imperfections are not failures but opportunities for growth and renewal. Perfection, as an ideal, creates a rigid framework that leaves little room for creativity, adaptability, or resilience. It enforces a binary mindset where success is absolute, and anything less is deemed failure. This narrow perspective can be paralyzing, discouraging individuals from taking risks or pursuing meaningful endeavors out of fear of falling short. Instead, embracing imperfection allows for flexibility and a deeper appreciation of the process rather than fixating solely on outcomes. By shifting focus from unattainable ideals to realistic goals, we cultivate a mindset that values progress over perfection. Each step, no matter how small, becomes a meaningful contribution to personal development. Accepting imperfections fosters self-compassion, enabling us to learn from mistakes and grow stronger through them. It also enhances our ability to adapt to life's uncertainties, recognizing that challenges and setbacks are integral parts of the journey. The cracks in the pot symbolize our humanity, flawed yet capable of profound impact. Just as the water nourishes the earth through the cracks, our imperfections can lead to unexpected insights and connections. By acknowledging and embracing them, we not only alleviate the burden of unrealistic expectations, but also unlock the potential for true fulfillment and growth. Part 4: Endless Distractions. Endless distractions, whether from social media, continuous notifications, or unending chatter, have become a hallmark of modern life, pulling us away from the present moment and fragmenting our focus. These distractions not only erode our ability to be fully present, but also rob us of the depth and richness inherent in everyday experiences. In Zen philosophy, the practice of mindfulness emphasizes complete engagement with the present, allowing one to taste the universe in a single grain of rice. This profound metaphor reflects the capacity to find immense meaning and fulfillment in even the smallest of actions, provided they are done with full attention and intention. The prevalence of distractions stems largely from our increasingly digitized world. Social media and technology, while offering connection and convenience, often come at the cost of mental clarity and genuine engagement. The constant barrage of information keeps our minds in a state of perpetual activity, leaving little room for reflection or stillness. This perpetual noise can lead to feelings of disconnection, stress, and even burnout, as we struggle to keep up with an endless stream of stimuli. To counteract this, intentional practices like a digital detox can help reclaim moments of peace and presence. By setting aside just 1 hour each evening free from screens, we create a space to reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. This time can be used to engage in activities that ground us, such as reading, meditating, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. These moments, though seemingly small, act as anchors, drawing us back to the present and reminding us of the beauty and simplicity of being. Silence, as encouraged in Zen monasteries, is another powerful antidote to distractions. The practice of quieting external and internal noise allows for deeper introspection and a heightened awareness of our surroundings. It trains the mind to focus on what truly matters and fosters an appreciation for life's subtleties. The act of eating in silence, for instance, becomes a meditative experience, transforming an ordinary meal into an opportunity for mindfulness and gratitude. By reducing distractions, we not only improve our focus but also cultivate a greater sense of fulfillment and peace. These practices remind us that the present moment is rich with opportunities for joy, connection, and insight, if only we allow ourselves to fully embrace it. Part 5. The Illusion of Control. The illusion of control is a powerful construct that shapes much of human behavior, often leading to frustration and suffering when events unfold differently than expected. The story of the farmer and his horse perfectly illustrates the unpredictability of life and the futility of clinging to rigid expectations. When the farmer's horse ran away, it seemed like a loss, only for the horse to return with wild companions, a development that appeared to be a gain. However, taming one of the wild horses led to the farmer's son breaking his leg, which could have been seen as a misfortune, but it ultimately spared him from conscription. Each event was interconnected, flowing naturally, yet entirely beyond the farmer's control. This story teaches a profound lesson about the nature of life and the limitations of our ability to dictate its course. Attempting to impose control over every aspect of life often leads to resistance, disappointment, and unnecessary stress. Life is inherently dynamic, filled with twists and turns that defy our expectations and challenge our assumptions. Recognizing this impermanence and unpredictability is a cornerstone of wisdom, as it encourages us to let go of rigid plans and trust in the unfolding of events. Letting go of the illusion of control does not mean adopting passivity or indifference. Instead, it involves cultivating the ability to respond to situations with wisdom and grace, rather than reacting out of frustration or fear. When we release our attachment to specific outcomes, we open ourselves to new possibilities, finding opportunities for growth and understanding even in seemingly unfavorable circumstances. This mindset fosters resilience, enabling us to navigate life's uncertainties with a sense of calm and adaptability. The farmer's equanimity in the face of life's changes serves as a reminder that perspective shapes how we experience events. What may initially appear as a setback could later reveal itself as a blessing, and vice versa. This underscores the importance of patience and the ability to view events in their broader context, rather than rushing to label them as good or bad. By embracing life's inherent uncertainty, we free ourselves from the weight of unrealistic expectations and allow space for spontaneity and acceptance. Ultimately, the illusion of control is a barrier to peace, and releasing it is an act of liberation. When we trust the natural flow of life and respond with wisdom, we align ourselves with its rhythms, discovering greater harmony and meaning in each moment. Part 6. The Weight of Regret. The weight of regret can be an emotional anchor, tethering us to the past and preventing us from fully engaging with the present. Regret often stems from a deep sense of guilt, disappointment, or unfulfilled expectations tied to past actions or decisions. While it is a natural human emotion, holding on to regret serves little purpose beyond perpetuating feelings of self-blame and sorrow. The Zen master's teaching, conveyed through the metaphor of drawing and erasing a circle in the sand, illustrates this truth: the past exists only in memory. It holds no intrinsic power unless we allow it to influence our present state of mind. The story of the woman haunted by a mistake demonstrates the transformative power of forgiveness and self-compassion. By writing a letter to herself, she externalized her emotions, giving form to her regret and the lessons she had learned. The act of burning the letter symbolized her decision to release the past, allowing her to break free from the emotional weight she had carried. This process of reflection, acknowledgement, and release is a crucial step in transcending regret and moving toward healing. Regret, when left unresolved, can distort our self-perception, fostering feelings of inadequacy and self-judgment. However, when approached with mindfulness, regret becomes a teacher rather than a tormentor. It offers an opportunity to understand the choices we made, identify the factors that influenced them, and grow from the insights gained. Instead of dwelling on what cannot be changed, we can shift our focus toward using these experiences to inform wiser decisions in the future. The key to releasing regret lies in accepting the impermanence of all things, including our mistakes. Life is a continuous flow, and clinging to past missteps disrupts that natural rhythm. By choosing to forgive ourselves and others, we not only lighten our emotional burden but also create space for renewal and growth. This act of letting go does not erase the past, but allows us to integrate its lessons without being defined by it. Ultimately, regret is a product of our attachment to an idealized version of what could have been. By reframing it as a catalyst for self-awareness and change, we transform a potentially paralyzing emotion into a source of empowerment. When we release regret, we reclaim the present moment, embracing it as an opportunity to live more authentically and intentionally. Part 7. Resentment. Resentment is an emotion that weighs heavily on the heart, often masquerading as a form of justice or self-protection. Yet, it primarily harms the one who carries it, much like holding a burning coal in an attempt to harm someone else. The energy expended in nurturing resentment drains emotional reserves, clouds judgment, and perpetuates feelings of anger and bitterness. While it may feel justified in the moment, resentment serves no constructive purpose, as it neither rectifies the wrong nor offers solace. Instead, it becomes a barrier to emotional peace and growth. The nature of resentment lies in its ability to tie us to past grievances, anchoring us to moments of pain and betrayal. This attachment prevents us from moving forward, keeping old wounds fresh and unresolved. The process of letting go, though difficult, is essential for reclaiming emotional balance. Forgiveness, in this context, does not mean condoning the wrongdoing or forgetting the harm caused. Rather, it signifies a deliberate choice to release the emotional burden, breaking the cycle of negativity and reclaiming control over one's inner peace. A personal reflection illustrates this transformative journey. Letting go of resentment toward an old friend who had wronged me was one of the most challenging emotional tasks I faced. The bitterness I harbored felt like a protective shield, yet it only deepened my pain and prolonged the sense of injustice. Through the practice of loving-kindness meditation, however, I found a path to healing. By consciously directing thoughts of compassion and goodwill toward myself and eventually toward the person who hurt me, I began to dismantle the walls of anger and resentment. This practice not only alleviated my bitterness, but also allowed me to see the situation with greater clarity and understanding. Releasing resentment is an act of self-liberation. It requires courage to confront and acknowledge the hurt, empathy to understand the imperfections of others, and a willingness to prioritize personal peace over retribution. This process is not immediate and may involve repeated efforts, but the rewards are profound. The absence of resentment creates space for compassion, joy, and healthier relationships, both with others and with oneself. Ultimately, holding onto resentment keeps us trapped in the past, but letting it go opens the door to a more fulfilling and present-focused life. When we release the burning coal of grudges, We free ourselves from its destructive heat, allowing the warmth of compassion and forgiveness to guide us forward. Part 8. Fear of change. Fear of change is a natural response to the unknown, rooted in our instinct for stability and familiarity. The story of the river hesitating to merge with the ocean illustrates this beautifully. The river, fearing the loss of its individuality, perceives the ocean as a threat rather than an opportunity. Yet, the ocean's reply, "Without me, you cannot know your vastness," reveals the profound truth that transformation is not about losing oneself, but about expanding into something greater. Change is the pathway through which growth and self-discovery occur, even if it feels unsettling in the moment. Change challenges the comfort of the familiar, often evoking feelings of insecurity and resistance. However, life, by its very nature, is a continuous flow. Much like the journey of the river, clinging to static circumstances in an ever-changing world is not only futile but also stifling to personal growth. Each transformation, no matter how intimidating, carries the potential to reveal new strengths, perspectives, and opportunities. Embracing change means stepping into the flow of life, trusting its direction even when the destination is unclear. This process of embracing change requires a shift in mindset. Instead of viewing change as a loss, it can be reframed as a gateway to discovery, much like the river merging into the ocean, where it becomes part of something vast and boundless. Embracing change allows individuals to transcend their limitations. It is through these transitions that we uncover deeper layers of our potential and gain wisdom that would otherwise remain dormant. Fear of change often stems from a desire to maintain control. Yet it is in surrendering to life's natural rhythms that true freedom is found. This does not imply passivity, but rather a willingness to adapt and grow with the currents of life. Resistance to change only creates friction, while acceptance fosters resilience and peace. Trusting the process of transformation allows one to navigate life's uncertainties with grace and confidence. Ultimately, change is not an adversary but a companion on the journey of becoming. By embracing it as an integral part of life, we open ourselves to the vastness of our potential, much like the river that finds its true nature in the embrace of the ocean. Through change, we evolve, learning not just to survive, but to thrive in the endless flow of life. Part 9. The False Self. The concept of the false self is rooted in the ways we define ourselves by external markers such as roles, titles, and achievements. These constructs, while providing structure and identity in society, often act as masks that obscure our authentic selves. The Zen master's teaching: remove your titles and beliefs. What remains is your true self, serves as a profound reminder that our essence lies not in what we do or how others perceive us, but in our intrinsic being. Stripping away these layers reveals the core of who we are, unbound by societal expectations or external validation. Defining ourselves by roles or accomplishments can create a fragile sense of self. Titles such as manager, parent, or artist carry responsibilities and expectations, but they are not permanent. Achievements, too, are fleeting. They bring momentary satisfaction but often fuel an endless pursuit for more. When identity is tied to these impermanent factors, it becomes vulnerable to change, failure, and the passage of time. This attachment to the false self can lead to anxiety, as we strive to maintain or enhance these external markers, often at the expense of our inner peace and authenticity. To uncover the true self, we must first question these external definitions and explore what remains when they are set aside. Journaling or meditating provides a practical and introspective path to this discovery. Writing about one's thoughts, feelings, and experiences without judgment can help uncover patterns, values, and desires that are not tied to societal roles. Similarly, Meditation allows for a deeper connection with the present moment, fostering awareness of the self beyond the noise of external influences. The journey to the true self is not about rejecting roles or achievements, but about recognizing their impermanence and viewing them as parts of a larger whole. By embracing the true self, we cultivate resilience and clarity, enabling us to navigate life with a stronger sense of purpose. This authenticity fosters genuine connections with others, as interactions are no longer based on pretense or superficiality but on a deep understanding of self. Ultimately, the false self is a construct, a tool we use to function within society. Yet, it is the true self, free from masks and labels, that holds the key to lasting fulfillment and peace. By reconnecting with this essence, we transcend the limitations of external definitions and embrace a life rooted in authenticity and self-awareness. Part 10: External Validation. External validation is a pursuit that often traps individuals in a cycle of dependence on others' opinions, approval, and recognition. The story of the monk meditating beneath the stars illustrates a profound truth: authentic brilliance does not require external affirmation. The stars, vast and luminous, shine without seeking applause, embodying a quiet confidence that comes from being true to their nature. This wisdom teaches us that true peace and fulfillment are rooted within, not in the fleeting approval of others. The need for external validation arises from a natural human desire for belonging and affirmation. While recognition can be affirming, over-reliance on it can lead to insecurity and a fragile sense of self-worth. Constantly seeking external validation shifts the focus outward, leaving individuals vulnerable to the ever-changing opinions and judgments of others. This dependence can erode self-confidence and authenticity, as actions become driven by the desire to please rather than align with one's values and truth. True peace comes from cultivating self-acceptance and an unwavering sense of inner worth. Anchoring oneself in self-acceptance allows for authentic self-expression, free from the constraints of external expectations. This does not mean dismissing feedback or ignoring others' perspectives, but rather developing the resilience to honor one's truth regardless of external circumstances. By recognizing that self-worth is intrinsic, individuals can embrace their unique light, shining authentically like the stars in the night sky. Letting go of the need for external validation is a liberating process that fosters emotional independence and inner strength. Practices such as mindfulness and self-reflection can help in building this foundation. Meditation, for example, encourages a deeper connection with the self, cultivating awareness of one's inner voice and values. Similarly, journaling provides an outlet for exploring one's motivations and affirming personal growth without the influence of external metrics. When one finds peace within, the need for validation diminishes, replaced by a quiet confidence and clarity of purpose. This inner alignment allows individuals to navigate life with grace, unburdened by the weight of others' opinions. It also fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships, as connections are formed based on authenticity rather than a need for approval. Ultimately, the light that shines from within is the most genuine and enduring. By anchoring ourselves in self-acceptance and embracing our authenticity, we, like the stars, can illuminate the world without seeking applause, radiating peace and fulfillment that come from simply being true to ourselves. Conclusion: the gift of letting go. Each of these burdens, possessions, relationships, expectations, and more, represents a veil obscuring life's clarity and simplicity. By lifting these veils, we reconnect with our innate nature, peace, awareness, and boundless freedom. Like a tree shedding its leaves in autumn, release what no longer serves you. Simplicity, compassion, and presence are the essence of Zen and the heart of Buddhist wisdom. As you begin this journey, remember, the work is not in acquiring but in letting go. Let us carry these teachings forward, lighting the way for ourselves and others. As the Zen saying goes, a single candle can light 1,000 others without losing its brilliance. Illuminate your path and inspire others to do the same.